Day, which is today, Saturday, December 14th, 2024. It is a pleasure to be here with you all, and we ask to start the event that we observe a moment of silence to remember the fallen, the prisoners of war, and those missing in action, and of course honor those who have served and are serving this great nation's armed forces. Thank you. I appreciate that. And now, Girl Scouts Troop number 3014 will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind you. Okay. Okay, ladies.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Troop 3014. We appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us here today. This year, across the country at 4,225 participating locations like this one, there are millions of Americans gathering safely as one nation to remember, honor, and teach. We are all proud to be Americans that live in a free society made up of many people from many walks of life. The freedoms we enjoy today have not come without a price. Lying here before us and in cemeteries throughout this nation are men and women who gave their lives so that we can live in freedom and without fear. We can worship as we see fit. We can raise our children to believe as we do. And we are free to vote for the leaders of our choosing. And we have the right to succeed. We have the right to fail at whatever endeavor we pursue. The United States of America was founded on the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality for all. Our nation stands as a shining beacon of freedom and liberty for the entire world. And we thank those who gave our lives to keep us free, and we shall not forget you. We shall remember. Today we thank our local VFW 12034 Band of Brothers for supporting us every year as they have since the beginning.
Wow.
And we also, let's see, is the mayor here today?
Mayor's not here. I'll step in for the
Mesh,
mayor.
come on, Cash. On behalf of the mayor of Laverne, Meshal Cash-Faragita will be speaking. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good.
It's a great honor for me, not just as a citizen here of Laverne, but to represent our great city as city councilman, but also a veteran and still serving. And it's a great honor every year that I come here and I see the wreaths that are placed to our fallen brothers and sisters that we never forget, especially during the holiday times and each and every single day. And please don't ever forget our prisoners of war and those still missing in action. And please also remember our Gold Star families. Our Gold Star families that have endured so much, but we never forget. So on behalf of a great city, I thank you for coming out here today. And I thank you, man, for hosting this each and every single year. That just warms my heart, and there's a community here that I love. So thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to come here and place a wreath for our fallen brothers and sisters that we may never forget. So thank you again. I look forward to seeing you again next year. Have a great day.
Thank you. We will now welcome Dr. Pedro Antonio Casas, Colonel of the U.S. Army retired, to come and give a few remarks.
So, first of all, it's a small group. If everyone could take a few steps in so I don't have to yell too much. So, as is my way, I always begin by thanking Christ for everything He's given me. I thank my parents for legally immigrating here. I thank the United States for being the best country on the planet in the world history. the entirety of world history. And I thank the U.S. Army for just being awesome.
Good.
So when I think of events such as this, whether it's Memorial Day, Veterans Day, or Wreaths at Christmas to remember our fallen, I often think, how do we give them meaning? Right? This is about giving them meaning. And I think what they would want and what I want is to make sure that the country I served, the country I went to war for, and I eventually pass away, I would want our country and its freedoms to continue. So how do we do that? How do I make this meaning into a pragmatic event? So at the end of my chat, I'm going to give 2 recommendations on the way ahead. But to understand this, we have to understand $100 bill. Whenever I go to Chick-fil-A, Cane's, In-N-Out, any event where there are young people present, I'll say something to the effect of, give me a good answer on what happened at Gettysburg. They might say something to the effect, it was a battle in the Civil War. And I'll say, can you tell me more? And they can't. I'll say, well, tell me about what happened on D-Day. And they'll say something about, well, we invaded France. Can you tell me more? The answer is no. Tell me about the attack on Pearl Harbor. And once again, the $100 bill is just inches from them. And they cannot. When I ask them to tell me about Midway, same thing. And the sad part about it is they don't know. And then I'll get into details when I've got a chance in an audience, and I'll say, well, were you aware that after the after the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th of 1941, within a couple of weeks, and again, the caveat for today is I'm going to be speaking about facts, and some facts are unpleasant. I love Japan. I have friends in Japan. I have friends who are married to Japanese. I have visited Japan. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful culture. But during World War II, the Japan of today did not exist. So I point out to these kids, were you aware of that Japan invaded China successfully? Were you aware of the rape of Nanking, where all the women were raped, all the men were killed? Were you aware that after the attack on Pearl Harbor, that within 2 weeks, they invaded the Philippines? Were you aware of the Bataan Death March? And for $100, they literally have no clue. When I share, were you aware that 500 to 650 Americans were massacred on the forced march without food and water? And if you lagged behind, you were massacred via bayonet. On that same forced march of 108 kilometers, about 65 miles, from April 9th of 1942 to April 15th of 1942, 5,000 to 10,000 Filipinos were massacred. Thousands of other Americans and Filipinos died at Camp O'Donnell prisoner of war camp due to abuse, no food, no medical support. They literally have no clue. And because of that, because of these things, they don't understand the big picture of our national security, why it matters. Why does national security matter? Why does it matter that all the men and women here chose to serve and to die for our country? And then I get onto the touchy subject. Was the use of the nuclear bomb justified? And 100% of the time, they'll say no. And when I point out these facts, I usually close in saying, Tell me about Operation Coronet for $100. And they literally have never heard of it, and they've never heard of island hopping and the massive amounts of losses we were taking to island hop from Honolulu to Tokyo Bay and march up to the palace. They have no clue. And then when I point out that the estimates is that we were going to lose an additional 1 million Americans to take the palace, then they start to come around that at that time the use of a nuclear bomb was justified. And then when you point out that even after the first bomb, they waited 3 days and they didn't surrender, so we dropped a second bomb. And it still took over a week for them to formally surrender. They literally have no clue. And yet, currently, our recruitment numbers are the lowest they've been in the history of our country. We do not have the numbers to defend our national security interest. That is a statement of fact. Additionally, we don't have the hardware. We don't have the carrier groups to defend our assets both in the Atlantic and in the Pacific. So today, if China decided to take Taiwan, we don't have the hardware to support the people to protect our interest. So what does right look like? Given these facts, what does right look like to honor the people who are here, where each of us is going to be? 2 recommendations that I can make. Number 1, for every mayor, whether you're a small town mayor or a big city mayor in the country, you immediately work with every small town or big town unified school district, and you institute American history from the 1st grade to the 12th grade. Every single year they learn about American history and why we have the best country on the planet in the entirety of world history. Period. That's number 1. Number 2 addresses another problem we have, and that is we have the highest obesity rates we've ever had for high schoolers. So even when they sign up, most of the time they don't qualify because they're obese. So the second part of my recommendation to honor our fallen is we start a JROTC program in every single high school in the country. We have plenty of vets who literally know how to read an op plan to go outside the wire and do a mission outside the wire. They have the experience, the intelligence, and the maturity to lead these programs to develop the next generation of junior enlisted, NCO, or officer. If we do that, we literally can address our shortages in numbers literally within the next couple of years. In my opinion, that's how we honor our fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Today, more than ever, we reflect on our nation's veterans and active duty service members who have had and continue to fight to protect the innocent and oppressed. This nation has always been the first to stand up for the freedom of people from around the world. Many of you here today have answered that call and have served your country well, and for this we say thank you, and we are honored to know you. There are many men and women serving today in all branches of the military, here at home and in places far away, that most of us have never heard of. These men